Nick understood what James meant. Luke had a pregnant wife and a sick mother. James has been paying for his mother's medication in exchange for his loyalty. It was like his mother's life was in James's hands. Nick had to remind Luke that if he made a mistake, not only his sick mother would suffer, but his pregnant wife would suffer too. That's why they used to call James ruthless. He never has mercy on anyone who tries to betray him. He knew he had to handle this delicately, ensuring that there were no loose ends that could lead back to him or James. "I'll take care of it, sir," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. Another thing. Handle the first piece of evidence of Cowles Hospital's mistreatment of the patients and lack of professionalism to the press. But tell them to release them when I give the order. There's something I need to confirm first to make sure Jocelyn won't get back on her feet forever. Understood. As he left James's office, Nick's thoughts were consumed by the mess he found himself in. He dialed Luke's number. Few rings. Luke picked it up, his voice cautious. "Hello? Luke, it's me." "We need to talk," Nick said, getting straight to the point. There was a moment of silence before Luke responded, his voice guarded. "What about, Nick?" "And I did as you instructed. You can see that the whole city is talking about it. You know the rules, Luke. First, you know what to do whenever someone tries to ask about the source of the information. Second, you know what to do whenever there's a shred of concrete evidence that can lead to us. Don't you dare think of going against the rules. I hope you haven't forgotten about your sick mother. Oh, I remember even your wife is pregnant, right?" Luke's voice trembled slightly on the other end of the line. "No, Nick, I haven't forgotten. I understand the consequences. I'll make sure to handle it discreetly." Nick's tone softened a bit. "Good. Remember, your family's well-being depends on your loyalty. Don't let us down. You can trust me, Nick. We've worked together for so long and I have never failed you." Luke responded with a bit of uncertainty in his voice. Nick murmured to himself and sneered. Trust? There's no one faithful in business. Everyone goes where his profit lies. If you want to control people, make sure they are afraid of crossing you, find their weaknesses, and always use them whenever they try to raise their voices against you. Nick has learned it from James. He hated resorting to such tactics, but in this world of power and deception, sometimes there seems to be no other choice. Again, Luke, meet me at 2 p.m. I have something to give you. After Nick hung up, he went directly back to his office. Meanwhile, at Kingstar Entertainment, Maggie had just entered her manager's office. "Lisa, I came as soon as I entered the city. How are things?" Lisa looked visibly stressed as she glanced up from her computer screen, her eyes widening at the sight of Maggie. "Maggie, thank goodness you're here," she exclaimed, quickly motioning for her to take a seat. "The situation has escalated beyond what we anticipated. We've been bombarded with media inquiries, and the high-ups are requesting an explanation." Maggie sat down, her heart pounding with anxiety. "What's the plan, Lisa? How are we going to deal with this?" she asked, trying to maintain her composure despite the chaos unfolding around her. Lisa took a deep breath, composing herself before responding. "First and foremost, we need to address the public. We've drafted a statement denying the rumors and clarifying the true nature of your relationship with Frank. We're also preparing for a press conference later today to further address the situation and answer any questions from the media. But let me ask you something, and don't lie to me if you want my help. Is what the news is saying true? Are you in love with Frank?" Maggie's eyes widened in surprise at Lisa's question. She shook her head vehemently. "No, Lisa, it's not true. Frank and I are just friends. Nothing more. That picture they're circulating was taken out of context. Frank was helping me when I sprained my ankle in the park. There's nothing romantic between us." Lisa nodded, relief evident on her face. "Good. I'm glad to hear that. We need to make sure the public knows the truth," she said firmly. "Well, about clarification. Frank told me to wait. You know, if I try to explain with just words, the public will think that I am just embarrassed that my bad side is exposed. Frank told me to wait a bit. We can't just make statements without any evidence. He said he would handle things, and that I shouldn't worry. Even if I use other pictures we took at the park when I was with family, that cannot explain why the news isn't true. I think we should find out what to tell the CEO and the directors, so they can reduce the pressure on us. And then we should wait for Frank, at least for today. If he hasn't found a way out of this, then we'll have no choice but to use your way. Lisa nodded, understanding Maggie's perspective. You're right, Maggie. Jumping into making statements without a solid plan could indeed backfire. Let's hold off on the press conference for now and focus on gathering evidence to refute these claims. I'll arrange a meeting with the CEO and the directors to update them on the situation, discuss our strategy moving forward, and buy us some time. Lisa rubbed through her hair before continuing. In the meantime, Lisa continued, I'll coordinate with our legal team not to do anything trying to ease the fans' reaction. I will tell them that we're first gathering evidence we can use to debunk these rumors. And you go talk to Frank. Tell him to speed up whatever he's doing. You know that if this isn't solved as soon as possible, you might have to face the penalty for breaching the contract. Maggie sighed with relief, grateful for Lisa's understanding and support. Thank you, Lisa. I know this is a lot to handle, but thank you for understanding me. And trust me, I will resolve this. With a determined nod, Lisa got to work, making calls and scheduling the necessary meetings. Meanwhile, Maggie sat back, trying to steady her nerves and prepare herself for the challenges ahead. Maggie was summoned to the CEO's office, reminiscing on how Mr. Ronald McDonald had recruited her when she was a nobody, bringing her into his company that only worked with the best. Now, she found herself stirring up trouble, all because of James. Knocking on the door, she heard a stern yet firm voice from inside. Come in. Upon seeing her, Ronald straightened his jaw and gestured for her to sit. He looked her in the eyes and said, Olga, I know you have talent. That's why I approached you in the first place. I gave you a platform to share your songs and show the world what you've got. Don't you think it was only fair to ask about something as simple as keeping your personal life super secret? Do you understand how you might destroy yourself by going against the company's rules? Maggie sat down, feeling a mix of guilt and defiance bubbling inside her. She knew she had crossed a line, but she also felt a strong sense of injustice. Am I not allowed to enjoy myself with my friends? This is all James's fault. He was done destroying Olga, and now he's coming for me? He is surely a ruthless man, as they say. Mr. McDonald, first, I will always thank you for the opportunity you've given me. No words can explain how grateful I am. Secondly, I want to apologize for disappointing you in this way, especially when we were in the middle of planning my album launch. But sir, I am not in love with Frank. Those are just rumors. Frank is my sister's boyfriend. We were at the park, and I sprained my ankle. He was helping me to make sure it wouldn't get swollen. Am I not even allowed to have private time with my family? I don't know who or why they would want to humiliate me, but all I know is that I won't be buried without a fight. Mr. McDonald listened intently, his expression softening slightly as Maggie spoke. He could see the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between loyalty to the company and her own sense of right and wrong. Well, if you're not confident, you're stupid. Who are you going to fight, huh? Olga, I understand your frustration, but you have to realize that sometimes the battles we fight aren't always visible, Ronald replied, his tone softening slightly. There are forces at play beyond what we can see, and sometimes the best way to fight is with strategy, not just sheer force. That's how you grow in this industry. If you start fighting everybody, you'll end up right back where you started. He stood up and looked at her to ensure Maggie understood that the company came first. Without the company, there was no her. Maggie, you have to realize the stakes here. We've built this company on a foundation of excellence and discretion. Any hint of scandal could tarnish not only your reputation, but ours as well. But you need to understand that in this industry, perception is everything. People don't care whether it's true or not. I hope this is the last time I have to remind you of that. He leaned forward, his gaze penetrating. I'm not asking you to sacrifice your personal life entirely, but you have to be careful. You're on the cusp of something great. Your talent is undeniable. But one misstep could derail everything we've worked for. Maggie nodded. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for your support. I won't disappoint you again, or put you or the company in a tight situation like this. Next time, I will be careful with everything I do. Ronald leaned forward, a spark of admiration in his eyes. Good. Here's what I will do to help you. For now, you won't be penalized for breaching the contract, and tomorrow we will release a statement clarifying the rumors. But I won't have tolerance if this happens again. Maggie felt a wave of relief inside her, grateful for Ronald's understanding. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. I truly appreciate it. I'll make sure to handle things more cautiously from now on, she said earnestly. She didn't contradict his decision because she knew Frank would have solved the issue. Mr. McDonald nodded, a hint of pride in his eyes. Good. I believe in you, Maggie. But remember, actions speak louder than words. Show me that you're willing to do what it takes. He sat again, his expression serious but supportive. Keep this in mind, Maggie. Your talent is what got you here, but your professionalism will determine how far you go. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and don't let anyone else's agenda derail your journey. You can leave now. Maggie saw the nod of dismissal and stood, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. She had a lot to prove, both to herself and to the company. She exited the CEO's office feeling relieved. It was already the afternoon. She looked at her clock. It was 2 p.m. She stopped by Lisa's office to notify her about the CEO's decision. But when she entered, she was greeted with sudden news. Maggie, you have been invited to perform at the Hawkins Corporation's 50th anniversary celebration party. It's in 1 week. This is a huge opportunity for you to gain more connections. Lisa said it with an excited voice. What did you just say? Maggie was stunned. She had never thought she would cross paths with James again, from the day he broke Olga's heart. She thought to herself, James Hawkins, what are you planning? Do you think I don't know you're the one behind the struggles I am facing after destroying Olga's life? I think I know what your plans are. You want to use me to get back at Olga. You're just used to exploiting people's weaknesses and ambitions to step on them. Just because you're high and mighty doesn't mean we're stupid. You can't trick us twice. Are you all right, Maggie? You seem upset, Lisa asked, her face showing concern. Yes, Lisa, I'm fine, Maggie replied, forcing a smile. I'm just processing some unexpected news. But, don't confirm them yet. I'll give you an answer by the evening. Lisa sighed. Maggie, you can tell me anything. You know I will always be by your side. If you keep hiding things that are barriers to your career, I don't think I will help you when you need it. Tell me, why are you hesitant to attend this party? Lisa, I can't tell you now. It involves my best friend's personal life. But I promise you I will handle it, perfectly and professionally. She couldn't just say that James was the one behind all the problems she was facing. Who would believe her? If we're done here, let me head home. I am tired. Maggie left Lisa's office, unable to shake off the weight of the upcoming performance at the Hawkins Corporation's anniversary celebration. The offer felt like a double-edged sword, an opportunity tinged with suspicion. She needed to sit and think about whether she should attend or not. What would Olga think about this? I will ask Olga for advice. Whatever she chooses, I will follow. After all, she's the center of all this mess. Maggie made her way out of the building, keeping her head down and avoiding eye contact with curious onlookers. She reached the parking lot and drove into Lisa's car, unnoticed by those waiting for her. For her, it was not the time to say anything yet.